It was supposed to be the happiest day of his life. The flowers were delivered, the guests had arrived, and the venue sparkled with golden fairy lights that flickered like stars. But when the groom, 29-year-old Daniel Whitmore, failed to appear at the altar, a celebration turned into a nightmare. The bride, Jessica Carter, stood in her white satin gown, bouquet trembling in her hands, surrounded by whispers, confusion, and growing panic. Her fiancé had vanished without a note, without a word, and without a trace. At first, everyone assumed Daniel was simply running late. Traffic? A forgotten tie? A last-minute emergency? But when the minutes turned to an hour and the calls went straight to voicemail, the realization hit like a cold wave: something was terribly wrong. Jessica's father called the police. Friends started combing through social media, calling hospitals, checking routes from his apartment to the venue. What they didn't know was that this was just the beginning of a bizarre and haunting mystery that would unravel over the next several years and leave more questions than answers. Daniel wasn't just any man. A rising star in the architecture world, he was known for his visionary work and calm demeanor. Friends described him as loyal, honest, and deeply in love with Jessica. They had met 5 years earlier in college, and their love had grown steadily without the dramatic ups and downs that plague many couples. No one saw any red flags. No cold feet. No last-minute fights. In fact, the night before the wedding, Daniel had sent Jessica a voice note: "Can't believe it's finally happening. I love you more than anything." It was simple, heartfelt, and final. Security footage from Daniel's apartment building showed him leaving around 8:15 a.m., dressed in a crisp navy blue suit. He looked calm, focused. There was no sign of distress and nothing seemed out of place. But after that moment, he was gone. No more surveillance footage. No GPS signal from his phone. No bank activity. It was like he had evaporated. The police initially treated it as a case of cold feet. Adult men disappearing on wedding days, while rare, wasn't entirely unheard of. But Jessica insisted that something was wrong. She knew him. He wouldn't do this. Not without saying something. Her instincts were right. The more the investigators dug, the stranger the case became. Daniel's car was found 2 days later, abandoned in a strip mall parking lot 15 miles from the wedding venue. The doors were locked. Inside, police found his phone, wallet, and a crumpled note that simply read, "I'm sorry." The handwriting matched Daniel's, but even that felt odd. There were no other fingerprints on the paper, no signs of struggle in the car. The gas tank was still nearly full. No one had seen him park it there, and no security cameras captured his arrival. Jessica was devastated. At first, she clung to the hope that maybe he had been kidnapped or suffered from amnesia. But as days turned into weeks and media coverage grew more intense, the story began to twist. Conspiracy theorists online suggested he had staged his disappearance. Others claimed Jessica was involved. Rumors spread like wildfire: gambling debts, secret affairs, hidden identities. But none of it held water. Then, 6 months later, something chilling happened. A man hiking in a remote forest area nearly 300 miles from Daniel's city found a torn piece of suit fabric snagged on a bush. It was navy blue, consistent with what Daniel had worn on his wedding day. Nearby, a leather dress shoe was discovered, same size, same brand. But no body. No bones. No blood. Just silence. The discovery reignited public interest. Police searched the area for weeks with dogs and drones, but nothing else was found. How did Daniel end up in the wilderness? Why leave his car in one direction but end up in the opposite? Did someone take him there? Was he running from something? Jessica, trying to cope with the endless questions, hired a private investigator. His findings would later uncover a thread that the police had missed: an encrypted email found in Daniel's cloud backup, scheduled to be sent 1 year after his wedding day. It was never delivered because no one had logged into his account. When the PI managed to retrieve it, it contained a short message: "If you're reading this, I'm sorry. I couldn't bring this into your life. I didn't want to disappear, but I had no choice." What did it mean? What didn't he want to bring into her life? The note opened a floodgate of theories. Was Daniel involved in something dangerous? Witness protection? Organized crime? Corporate whistleblowing? But none of those ideas matched who he was, at least not on the surface. The PI followed every lead, spoke with every colleague, every friend. And then, a breakthrough point, one of Daniel's college roommates revealed a secret he had never shared with anyone, not even Jessica. Back in college, Daniel had been briefly involved with a woman named Elena Ruiz. It had ended badly. Elena was unstable, he said. Obsessive. After the breakup, she had allegedly threatened to ruin his life. But Daniel had dismissed her as someone in pain, not a real threat. A year later, she vanished. No one had seen or heard from her since. The PI traced Elena's last known location to a psychiatric facility, one that she had been released from under unusual circumstances. And here's where it gets darker. The facility had been closed down after reports of malpractice and illegal experiments related to memory treatment. Patients were given unapproved drugs intended to erase traumatic memories. When Elena was discharged, she had signed a non-disclosure agreement, then vanished off the grid. Suddenly, the pieces started to fall into place. Could Daniel have learned something about Elena's fate? Had someone warned him to keep quiet? Was he targeted? Then came the most shocking twist of all. 3 years after his disappearance, Jessica received a postcard. It had no return address. Just a picture of a beach in southern Mexico and 5 handwritten words, "Still love you. Forgive me." It was signed simply D. The handwriting matched Daniel's again. Authorities were able to trace the postcard to a tourist town near Oaxaca. Local police were contacted, and one officer reported seeing a foreign man who resembled Daniel working at a construction site months earlier, but he had left town. No passport, no legal documents, no digital footprint. If it was him, he had created an entirely new life. So why would someone with a loving fiancé, a successful career, and no criminal record throw it all away? Theories flooded in again. Maybe Daniel had a psychological break. Maybe something had triggered a deep fear of commitment, of danger, of a past coming back. Or maybe, as some believe, he found something so disturbing, so damaging, that the only option he saw was to vanish. The postcard remains the only verified contact since his disappearance. Jessica, now married to someone else, keeps it in a box with his old photos. She says she's moved on but still thinks about him. "I just want to know," she said in an interview. "If he's alive, I want to know why he left." That's the worst part, not knowing. Daniel Whitmore became a modern ghost. A man who vanished not because he was running from love, but perhaps because he was trying to protect it. And maybe, in some strange way, that's the most haunting love story of all.